Welcome to Gardens and Palms, where you will see garden tours and botanical garden visits, as well as plant description videos and palms and tropical videos. Hey everyone, this is a pretty extensive look at my garden for right now here at the end of March. I've added a lot of new plants, including this Arctic Rose Camellia japonica here that you saw with the pink bloom. Got some daylilies here and some woodland garden phlox coming up pretty good. The hydrangeas got bit back pretty good. These are hydrangea macrophylla. We had a temperature of about 23 to 25 degrees about a week ago, and it really bit back a lot of things. The irises, as you can see there, are budding out. So apparently they weren't damaged by the cold. A lot of weeds in this bed. This is my new arbor I put up here, and I did go ahead and move the Carolina jasmine. If you watched the last video, the arbor was too far away from where I wanted the arbor. The Carolina jasmine was too far away, I should say, from the arbor, so I had to end up moving it. Here's a look at my wax myrtle tree. I like the curve of the trunk on this thing. I think it's a really cool looking feature in the garden. This is an evergreen tree. It gets about 12 feet tall to 15 feet tall, maybe max. The tropicals are starting to wake up here. This is a striped leaf canna. And it also has some ginger lilies and some elephant ears coming up in this bed as well. Pampas grass got bit back a little bit from that cold snap. Here's my emerald green arborvitae, and I'm loving this brand new plant here. This is a lemon ball sedum or sedum. Got some blooms on the dianthus here. And this is a miniature transplant of a blue colored dianthus. The ajuga here was doing really good, and the cold really bit it back, but it's coming back here, starting to. That's a pineapple lily there coming up, and that's a carex there. This is a camellia here called Winter's Interlude. And another ice plant, I should say here. This is Delosperma. It's a perennial. It's a succulent, really. Windmill palm, small little windmill palm there. Here's a newer plant here. This is another Camellia japonica of mine. This is Sadaharo O. And I'll put the blooms on the screen here for those that aren't in bloom right now. I'm loving this plant here. I've been looking for this one for a while. This is Florida Sunshine Elysium. It has a nice bright green chartreuse look to it. Looking forward to watching it grow and blend in with these evergreens. Got these orange forks in the ground marking where some elephant ears are coming up. I don't want to step on them while I'm working in the beds. There's another camellia right there, Sasanquin. This is a lemon cypress. I hope they live. I've got two of these. Mexican petunia there coming up. And there's a purple coneflower coming up too. Got some bluebells to the right of this clematis. I moved the clematis in previous videos. It was in my side yard. It wasn't getting enough sunlight. So I think it'll do a lot better over here. These blueberry bushes, the cold snap did a number on them. I would have had tons of fruit this year. But the good news is some of them weren't completely bloomed out yet. So I think these ones here, for example, are going to produce some edible blueberries. Probably all in all, though, I've lost at least half the crop, but that's the way it goes. Weather's fickle and not a whole lot you can do about it. I could have covered them, but it was windy. The wind would have probably blew the sheets off and wouldn't have done any good anyways at such a cold temperature maybe. Here's another camellia here that's newly planted. I'll put the name on the screen. I don't remember this one offhand, but another Camellia japonica. Looking back here towards the corner of my gate or fence, and the large D.D. Blanchard magnolia is a white blooming Camellia sasanqua to the right there. You see on the left there is my needle palm. Looking pretty good right now. Needle palms are one of the hardiest palms in the world. Once they get established and get some size to them. Here's a little cutting I took of an Akuba japonica, or gold dust plant. I think it'll look good back there in time. There's a sable minor there, one of my bigger ones. And some irises here. This is a little lime punch hydrangea. I'm hoping this thing will look really beautiful in the summer and fall. This is a decent sized dogwood tree here. This thing was planted about 5 feet tall a few years ago, and it must really be happy because it's getting really tall now. And generally dogwoods can be slower growers, so they will take a few years before they bloom, even after you plant them. This is a look at a rhododendron. It's got several buds on it. I'm sure sometime in April it will be blooming. Got some more irises and some more iris blooms, or buds I should say. There's another cutting of a flowering quince, and I've got another Camellia japonica, that's Greensboro red. Camellia there on the right, and a larger sable minor here. Larger, I say, for my yard. These shrub palms can get bigger than this. Here's another Camellia japonica. I'm going to have to put the names on the screen. I've got like 28 to 30 camellias now. And here's a look at my two Bracken's Brown Beauty magnolias. These are the smaller type magnolias. They will get big, but compared to my other one on the right side of the backyard, not as big as that one. They don't quite have the brown underneath the underside of the leaves either. Still nice looking plants and trees. Here's a unnamed variety of a seedling camellia I pulled up. Most likely a sasanqua. Might be a tea camellia, I'm not sure. Japanese fatsia there. And then look at my other magnolia. Got some more woodland phlox there. And coming up here is my hardy perennial lantana. Starting to leaf out and bud out a little bit there at the base like it usually does. It dies back to the ground every year. There's some spent daffodils. The butterfly bush. It was actually fairly leafed out before that freeze, and so I may have more dieback on that, but it'll be alright. There's a wider look at the backyard looking towards the other side yard. Here's another camellia here. This is a sasanqua. And you'll see the name here in a minute. I believe it's Pink Snow. One of our newer perennials I just planted. This is columbine. And this is one we've had for a few years. They seem to do well in my garden, so it's a pretty purple bloom. There's a catmint there, a newer perennial. And this is a spirea. It's called Double Play Doozy, I believe. The cool thing about this plant is, besides the beautiful dark pinkish blooms, is that unlike regular spireas, it will bloom not only in spring, but it'll bloom throughout the season, off and on. There's some coreopsis. The other plant you just saw, I believe, that was putting on its little spikes of blooms is speedwell or something like that. Here's a purple leaf Japanese maple. I dug this up as a small seedling, and it's done pretty well. It's about 2 feet tall right now. And some more woodland phlox. This is a new perennial. This is called Candy Tuft. Similar acting as a creeping phlox. There's a little peony coming back. Then I've got this knockout rose bush that I transplanted over here from the side yard late winter. There's a camellia. May or may not live. It's had issues in the past. I believe that bluish green plant was a lamb's ear. I've got some lilies coming up here and some older hyacinths. This is my calicarpa, American Beauty there, that shrub, the one without leaves yet. And here's a look at another Camellia sasanqua. I'll have to put the name on the screen on that one as well. I believe that's a pink and a white blooming one. Got some daylilies here. They were zapped a little bit by that late cold we got, the hard freeze as a matter of fact. There's my bird bath, cleaned up and ready to go. Got some purple hearts coming up here near the bananas. These are hardy banana trees, Musa baju. Here's my loquat tree. It fared pretty well through the winter. These things here amaze me, Dusty Miller. I've never tried them. I knew they would overwinter, but I figured they'd die back to the ground. And they've stayed that way all year. There's a little look at a little miniature rose there. Here's the large leaf of the loquats. This is obviously an evergreen plant. This here is my Annabelle hydrangea. I'm guessing between the drought last summer and fall and then the cold spells we had, knocked it back to the ground pretty good. There's a little windmill seedling and some more daylilies. This is a new plant. This is a sedum, and I don't remember the name, but I will put it on the screen as well. This is one that gets pretty tall. Some more daylilies and some irises there. Here's a camellia that's called Camellia sasanqua Autumn Moon. Underneath it, I've got a sable minor there, and there's some agapanthus. And a couple new perennials here. That's a penstemon. And this is another type of coreopsis. This is a more, almost a smaller shrubby-like pink blooming coreopsis. I'm really looking forward to seeing it bloom. Hopefully it'll do well. Here's my cherry laurel tree. This thing is full of blooms. Of course, if we didn't have 20-mile-an-hour winds, there probably would be all kinds of pollinators all over it. Here's one of my smaller windmills with some purple hearts coming up underneath it and some cannas and things in the back there. There's my Gardenia radicans. Underneath it is a canna Stuttgart. That's a variegated creamy white and green canna. To the left of all that is this Camellia reticulata hybrid. It's called Frank Hauser. It's a large purple, or rather pink blooming camellia. This here I believe is a Sable Louisiana, purchased as a Sable Brazoria. Here's the palmetto here. And to the right of it is a new addition here. This is the Akuba plant, Akuba japonica. I love the speckled leaves on it. And a hosta back there coming up with the Camellia japonica there, pink perfection on that one. I mentioned this in one of my palm videos. This Sable palmetto is the first time it's ever shown any kind of rot or damage like this before. As you can see here and see one of those newer spears. The one to the right is green and looks normal, but it's had a couple of spears that weren't too good looking. So we'll see how that plays out. Here's one of my windmill palms, one of my 4 largest ones. And around it I've got the coreopsis there with the yellow blooms. And this is Shasta daisy with some hostas there. And then I've got a canna back here. That is, I can't think of it. It's a striped leaf, a dark striped leaf canna. Got a limelight hydrangea here. And some daffodils that are done blooming. And other things in there. I think there's some hyacinths and some crocus. Here's my largest windmill palm. 3 of these 4 windmill palms do have blooms right now, so hopefully one day I'll get some seed from them. Here's a look at one of my sago palms. I did trim some of the sago palm fronds off. Some of them were pretty yellow, so they look better now. This is a newly created bed here. The plants were there, but I've tied them all into one bed. Makes it easier to mow. This is a Bigfoot Clara japonica. This thing will get fairly tall, 15-20 feet, but it stays very narrow, 6 feet wide. Here's a Spartan juniper, a conifer addition to my yard. I've added a few conifers as well. This here is a podocarpus macrophylla. This is a more of a southern conifer. I'm hoping that'll do pretty good. It's going to be interesting to see how it grows and does there. Got some dianthus there, and this is another one of those pineapple lilies. And I got some more purple hearts coming up. There's a coreopsis there. Probably in about a month, those coreopsis will be in absolute full bloom. There's another camellia here. I believe it was called Hot Flash or Bella Rouge. And in front of it are some variegated liriope that hopefully won't scorch from too much sun. Oh, look at the pond and the pink mullygrass. I've got some cannas and ginger lilies and some calla lilies up there coming up, all in this area here. This windmill is not looking too good, little seedling there. This is a sedum. I believe it was called blue. Oh, I can't think of blue something sedum. There's some transplanted daffodils recently. Over here is my Sweet Bay magnolia. It's starting to grow a little bit. The leaf buds are starting to swell and starting to show signs of life again. They've got a cool silver looking underside to their leaves on a Sweet Bay. This is a new agapanthus I just planted recently. Right next to it is another Dusty Miller plant. And I've got a perennial dianthus here. One is blue, the other one green there on the right. There's a little crepe myrtle shrub there. And then you're looking at a Juliet Clara. That's a variegated Clara there. Up above it is a larger tree, the live oak. Here's a planter bed I usually put annuals in. And here's a look at my larger windmill palm. Here's my gardenia. This is August Beauty gardenia. This thing is in a little bit of a microclimate, but it's done really well for me. It doesn't show a lot of damage. It's getting pretty good size, probably 5 feet tall, 6 feet around. There's a flower bud there, but here in about a month or so, this thing will be full of blooms and fragrant. You can smell it all over the yard. There's some blooms, speaking of, on these windmill palms right there. Here's my larger sago palm. This one's in a sheltered spot. Like I said, I did clip some half brown looking fronds off this thing, but all in all, the sago palms look pretty good. They weathered the winter pretty well with protection, of course. All right, now we're moving up front here. This is our phlox, and I've got a hydrangea macrophylla next to it. I love these swallowtail, I believe, butterflies. They're beautiful. Here's some hostas coming up. Some of them did have some leaf damage from that late freeze, hard freeze. There's a matta dianthus there. That stuff just slowly spreads, and that's good. That's an aster there. It's yet to bloom for us, but it's got some good size blooms on it. There's a lily and there's an iris. Got some other perennials, cannas, a smaller mullygrass. And then this is, I can't think of the name. I'll have to put it on the screen, but it's got tiny blue blooms in early spring. I've read it's related to the iris, but I'll put that on the screen. Got an astilbe here, and there's a hosta. Here's another camellia. Got some hellebores mixed in here, and there's another astilbe, along with another hosta. Obviously, this is more of a shaded area, shade garden. Of course, it's earlier morning, so it's getting sun. Here's a couple of camellias here. This one here is Professor Sargent. Some of the last few leftover blooms on this plant. Here's a cast iron plant. This is just your basic green one, which is your most hardiest. Aspidistra, I believe. There's a couple of blooms on that hellebores down below there, the white. Here's some heucheras, or coral bells, with some daffodils. Got a carex there, and this is a primrose here about to finish up blooming. This is called pig squeak. It's something else, a new perennial. This is a white blooming camellia here, and below it is a sable minor. I've got a limelight hydrangea here that's just now leafing out some in a little cooler part of my yard. Got a camellia here on the left and a hosta on the right. The azaleas are starting to show color, and I've seen some around the neighborhood, different kinds of varieties starting to bloom. There's a white one up there on the top of the screen. And this is another pink one here. These are all below that tulip or Jane magnolia that the last bit of blooms got scorched with the freeze. Another hosta there, and another camellia here. And there's another limelight hydrangea as well. It's actually a viburnum, but it is called a Chinese snowball bush. Doing pretty good. And last is a Christmas jewel holly I just planted. Thanks for watching, everyone.